Hello, everyone. Welcome. Sideline Brief Podcast here with episode 185. Great weekend of football. Also, a great weekend if you're into the combat sports. Not only was UFC Noche on this weekend, I believe early Saturday, there was a banger of a fight on Saturday night, fight of the decade. I am, and also others are proclaiming Terrence Bud Crawford versus Canelo. We'll go over that fight, plus go over some of these games in NFL Week 2. There's still two more games going on tonight, one of the few Monday night doubleheaders that we're getting this year. So, with all that being said, guys, stay tuned. Let's get into this. Let's start with the combat sports, and then we'll head into the NFL Week 2 action, and then recap some of these games. Of course, there's a lot of news coming out the weekend, a lot of injuries piling on coming out of Sunday, and then some spilling over into today. So that'll be part 2 of this episode. Mind you, UFC Noche was Saturday. I did not watch any of this, to be honest. So I'm not going to speak too much about it, but I know it was a good event. If Lawrence was here, he could probably tell you more. I know he definitely was watching. So I don't have too much to speak to it. But what I do have a lot to speak to is this Crawford and Canelo Alvarez main event, put on by Netflix, put on by Saudi Arabia, the Crown Prince. Head of the GEA Gaming Entertainment Authority. I believe that's what it's called. Turkey. Bud Crawford, Canelo Alvarez, super welterweight, I think. Let me see. I know they fought at 168, right? I don't know what weight class that is, to be honest with you guys. But if you watched the fight, you knew how much of a show Crawford was putting on. I mean, it wasn't even close, to be honest. The way the judges scored that card was insane. So, I mean, we all knew Canelo was going to get the champion's advantage. That was a pretty given right there. So Crawford had to win in convincing fashion, and I believe he did. So the scorecard at the end didn't make any sense to me. I thought at best Canelo won. It went 12 rounds. I think at best Canelo won maybe 4 rounds. So scoring 115 to 113 is insane. I think 116 to 112 is at least where it should have been scored, but I don't think you can score a fight 115 113. Like, that doesn't make any sense. Canelo wasn't even close. I know a lot of people going into the fight saying, "Oh, Canelo got the power. He got the power. It's only going to take one hit. Bud's never fought this weight class only once, and it's unprecedented. He's doing this. How is he going to move with the added weight? How is he going to be with his conditioning? All this stuff." I didn't have any issues with any of that. In these type of fights, guys, I always pick the better boxer. Whoever the better boxer is usually who you want to go with. Even with the guy who has knockout power in doesn't matter if it's left or it's right. You want to, it doesn't matter. The guy who can outbox and who has the better, not even better, just higher boxing IQ, is usually going to win these fights. I mean, it seemed like a no-brainer to me. So when Vegas had Bud as a underdog, even if it was slight, I was like, hey, I'm going to take this. I told everyone I know, hey, slam this Crawford money line. Like, it doesn't really make sense. Like, it doesn't make sense. Why is this guy such an underdog? But definitely outboxed him. When Canelo did hit him with a punch, there was the counter left, the counter right jab. Crawford kept jabbing, kept Canelo at his distance, making sure that he respected his power as well. And he got some good shots in too, especially when they did some exchanging in I think it was either the 9th or 10th round. They did some good exchanging, and I would say most of those exchanges Crawford was winning. So, I don't know what else to say. I mean, he's just one of the greatest fighters I've ever seen. Definitely the greatest fighter of this generation, and I'm a huge Canelo fan. But this fight put that to rest. I think Canelo's a great fighter in his own right, one of my favorites. But I don't think he can hold a handle to Bud. And Bud's way older, way more experienced. People kind of downplaying and kind of pissing on his career, but I mean he's one of the greatest. I don't think you can downplay him anymore. Um, so I love the fight. Shout out to Netflix for making this non pay per view. You just had to make sure you had a Netflix subscription. I have a buddy that has a Netflix subscription, and then you can watch the fight. I think this is the way combat sports in general just needs to go. I think pay per view models are outdated. It doesn't make sense to pay $80 just for one night, just for 3 hours. That's dumb. That's dumb. These companies making money hand over fist. They can definitely afford to give it to you as part of a subscription, even if it is a higher tier. But no one's doing that. So shout out to Paramount for getting UFC and making it no pay per view model. Shout out to Netflix for making this no pay per view as well. Let's get into the NFL Week 2 action right after this. All right, everyone, we're back. Let's get into this NFL Week 2 action. Tampa Bay and Houston Texans are currently playing right now. I'm recording on Monday night. Tampa Bay is currently up by 4. We'll see if I can get this episode out tonight since these are going to be relatively quick, around 20-ish minutes, maybe even less. But a lot of early season-ending injuries, or not even season-ending, just a lot of early season injuries just to begin with. Probably the most notable, if you don't know already, Joe Burrow, grade 3 turf toe. He will require surgery, and at a minimum, it's probably going to be out 3 months. Hopefully, the timeline can shift depending on how he responds to treatment, how fast his body can heal. But that's the timeline right now. If you want to pin this on offensive line, I wouldn't agree. I don't think that with a freak incident like this, freak injury, that you can totally say it's offensive line. I mean, these things don't really happen to other quarterbacks. Happened to Mahomes is the most recent severe enough where they needed surgery was Mahomes a couple years ago. I think it was like 2020, 2021, one of those years. You see Mahomes, he's fine now. He can run. He can still, be the best quarterback in the league, quote unquote. But hopefully the same outcome as Joe. Hopefully, he doesn't rush back. I think he has to, do good by himself and make sure he can prolong his career and don't mess up the rehab. But in his absence, we got Jake Browning, who, I think played well when it mattered, right? 3 interceptions, should have cost us the game, but it didn't. I think it's a testament to the defense. The defense is actually a lot better than last year. I think the same game last year they would have lost, and they probably would have lost very handily. But the fact that the defense came up with 2 turnovers, almost 3, that Geno Stone one was pretty close, but it says a lot to where the defense is. They're very opportunistic, very ball hockey, very just very sound. I feel like I think they still have some things to work on. Right, the big plays. Like you take away a lot of the big plays, then I think this game's not even this close. And they still haven't allowed a 100-yard rusher, which is pretty good considering the fact that I'm pretty sure ETN rushed for 143 yards last game against the Panthers. Now the Panthers, talked about them a little bit. Sorry, Lawrence. They look kind of bad. Not kind of bad. They are bad. So the fact that we allow 139 yards rushing is actually very good. The run defense is still there. I think they just got to clean up on the big chunk plays. They got to stop those or keep those to a minimum. And the pass rush has to get better. We see Trey with the game-ending sack. Basically, we need more of that. Shamar Stewart's I think he has a low ankle sprain. He's going to be out for a couple weeks. So, Asai, Miles Murphy going to have to step up. Miles Murphy's been playing well, but we need to see more out of him. And the more that Trey plays, the more conditioning he's going to get. And so the more snaps he's going to get. I don't think he's been playing to his normal amount of snaps, these 2 games this far. So I think defense has a lot of room to grow, but right now they're at that average. Like they're at average defense right now, which is way better than last year when they were, pretty shit. They were pretty bad. Now we're at average. I can take an average defense. The average defense will win you games like this where you should have lost. 3 interceptions by Jake Browning, they should have lost. And the first one, I mean, you could at least have 3 points on the board. You were in field goal range. Don't know why Zach Taylor allowed him to throw the ball. I think that was pretty reckless. I think you take 3 points. So if you add 3 points, it'll be 34-27. He threw a pick coming out of halftime when we get the ball coming out of halftime. We were driving. The Bengals were driving, so that should have been at least 3 points right there. And then when the Jags punted that one time in the fourth, he threw another interception. And we were driving. That was another at least 3. So the game shouldn't have been that close. Plus, you take away some of the chunk plays. I think the Jags just benefited from the turnovers, scoring on those, and I think the Bengals might have scored on one of the turnovers from Trevor Lawrence. So I think hey, he hasn't played live football since the preseason, and at that it wasn't. I don't think it was a lot, was it? I think Riddler got some of the reps too, but in terms of regular season play, he hasn't really had any since 2023, which he did well. They floated. He kept them afloat, and they had a chance to make the playoffs, but they didn't. So we'll see what they do. Joe does have a chance to get back. Like I said, 3 months, puts them at, I believe, the Week 15 game versus the Ravens. So not the Thanksgiving Ravens game, but the one after. So we shall see. I'm pretty optimistic, but I'm also pretty optimistic that Jake, with the schedule, I mean, we can take a quick look at the schedule. I think Jake can win us a lot of these games. I mean, the next games versus the Vikings. Vikings won't have, if you don't know already, they won't have J.J. McCarthy or Aaron Jones, or I think even they're starting left tackle. So they're dealing with a lot of injuries too. So can Jake Browning beat Carson Wentz? Yes, he can. He definitely most certainly can. Carson Wentz, his last start with the Chiefs against the Broncos, he played pretty bad. So I'm not too worried about this one. If Andy Reid could make him look good, I don't have too much faith that O'Connell can make him look how Sam Darnold looked last year. I don't think it's going to happen. So I think the Vikings is a game that they can win. I am not high on the Broncos. We'll talk about them a little bit later. The Lions, I'm still iffy about it. Yeah, they beat up on the Bears, but it's the Bears. The Bears, I was high on them. Now, they are for sure not on the do not bet list. And then some of these other games are very winnable. Packers I foresee as the for sure loss. But I mean, Steelers, Jets, Bears, Steelers again probably split with the Steelers, Patriots, Ravens. Like a lot of these games are winnable. So I think if Jake can go at least 6-5, which is very possible, 8-5 going into Joe's possible return, I think will be the most ideal, or the least ideal scenario. Because I don't see them not being 500. So we'll see. They got some cushion after being 2-0, been winning this game. Next up, we have other games that I watched. Giants Cowboys caught the end of that. Don't know what Russ was thinking, throwing the ball up there, saying "fuck it." Neighbors is down there somewhere. You don't do that in overtime, bro. Like at the very least, you just tie. Like why are we doing this? You gifted the Cowboys that game. They say let Russ cook, and he overcooked on that one. Bears Lions, like I said, the Lions just beat the hell out of them. The Bears, I lost all confidence in the Bears. They will have a bad season. This is not looking too good for them. Rams, Titans. Rams look good. I don't know if Kyron Williams is hurt, but he had 17 carries. He's not the usual touchdown machine. They had Corman for a little bit there. I wonder what that's about, but not my usual touchdown machine. Patriots, Dolphins. I had Patriots going into this one at plus money. The Dolphins, as we know, looked terrible in week 1, and I thought most of that would carry over. But Tua didn't look too bad. And from what I was watching, which was kind of brief here and there, I would change the Sunday ticket games quite often, just because a lot of them were actually kind of good in this 1 p.m. window. So Patriots Yeah, I think like Lawrence said, I think what last week or 2 weeks ago that the Patriots will be in a lot of games and they will surprise a lot of people with some of these wins that they will be able to pull out. And I think shouldn't be surprised that they beat the Dolphins, but in the fashion that they did, yes, you should be. 49ers Saints, Mac Jones did just enough to win the game. He didn't actually look too bad. I think Kyle Shanahan, if anybody can make a quarterback look good, as Kyle Shanahan. His system can adapt to pretty much any quarterback, and you see it with Mac Jones. Pretty much all I need to say about that. I was high on the Jets after even a loss at playing against the Steelers, but I think the Bills are too much. Fields is in concussion protocol, so we'll see if he plays next week. I think it's trending not, but then again, it is Monday, so he has a whole week to pass protocol. Tyrod Taylor did fill in for a little bit. He is getting prepped to play this week, so I think it's more likely a 50-50 chance that Fields play. But I think this is a pretty good sign if you're the Bills fans because the Jets were looking pretty competitive in that Steelers game, and I was thinking that was going to carry over into the Bills, but it did not. So um, we shall see. The Bills are looking pretty good. I think they're one of the, at least in the AFC, they're one of the better teams, probably a top two, top three team for sure. Um, what are the games that I watched? Seahawks, Steelers. I honestly kind of saw this one coming. I had the Steelers in my pick'em league, but I could honestly see the Seahawks winning this one. But I thought, hey, Aaron Rodgers, even with his old age, should at least be able to string two good games together. It is seeming like he cannot. So I think it's going to be a one game here, a one game there type of thing. Some games his defense is going to have to carry him because he cannot carry. He can't carry the Steelers to every win. It's going to be somebody else, and so most likely the defense is going to have to carry them sometimes. And their defense is suspect, just like the Ravens' defense is suspect. The Steelers' defense is also suspect. Um, if the Bengals and Browns have the best defenses in this AFC North division, then that is a little bit of a troubling sign for these. I mean, at least the Ravens are a top tier team in the AFC. That's a pretty concerning sign, if you ask me. Ravens Browns had this game on. Thought the Browns would be able to cover, but um, Joe Flacco just didn't play well. And I think it's more the same of Aaron Rodgers. Like some games, Aaron's gonna play well. Some games, Joe's gonna play well, and then other games, Joe is going to show why he's an old man and why he was on the street a couple years ago. He doesn't have enough juice to pull this off every game. Um, Even though the Baltimore secondary is suspect, very suspect, and they lost one of their safeties today, actually, to a hamstring. So I think Kyle Van Noy is out for a couple weeks with a hamstring. Don't know if it's grade 1 or grade 2, but big blow to them. Defense was already lacking in the secondary at least. So, yeah, we will see how this goes. But I think the Cleveland defense is legit. I mean, Derrick Henry had no touchdowns, only 23 yards from 11 carries. Lamar was running for his life. He got sacked 3 times. I think the Browns defense is legit. They just don't have a quarterback. If they had a quarterback, I honestly think you could say they'd be the best team in the AFC North. If they had a quarterback and maybe another receiver. But that's just not how this team is built. What else we got here? 4 o'clock window is when we get the Broncos Colts. Yeah. Colts is the first team to be 2-0 and not punt the ball a single time. Very, it's a good thing if you're a Colts fan because Danny Dimes is balling right now. But on the other hand, then they beat the hell out of the Dolphins, which they suck. And the Broncos, I'm not sold on the Broncos. I wasn't sold on them last year. Definitely not sold on them this year. Bo Nix, to me, is having a sophomore slump. I don't think he's going to play as well as he did last year. I know it's still early. Maybe he can flip things around and start playing better. But to me, he's not playing well. Their defense damn sure isn't playing well. I think there's a lot of issues with the Broncos, and they're being exposed left and right here. Sucks that the sucks that it came down to a field goal. But hey, that's the NFL for you. Sometimes this happens. But yeah, I'm not sold on the Broncos. That's why I'm thinking that Jake Browning could beat them in a couple weeks. Their defense is not good. Not saying it was. I don't even think they were good last year. They just played relatively bad teams, so it kind of inflated their defensive stats a little bit. So um, I think that's starting to catch up with their. They have a second place schedule now. I think that's starting to catch up with them. Now you're trying. Now you're truly seeing them for who they are. Maybe an average defense, below average defense, but it's still early. Maybe they can turn things around too. Now when we talk about the 4 o'clock window, Panthers Cardinals. Panthers almost came back, but Cardinals held them off. 2 weeks in a row where the Cardinals kind of took their foot off the gas going into the fourth quarter, and teams have crawled back into it. I'm not liking that trend from the Cardinals. They are honestly a way better football team than that. You would think at least. So that's something to watch out for. When you're just if you're going to pick the Cardinals for any of these games, you got to keep that in mind. A team that can put up that could have actually put up points would be way more dangerous. The Panthers, I think they lost 2 offensive linemen thus far in the 2 weeks. I know they picked up one of the Bengals practice squad players. It's not looking good for them. I think Bryce Young played better, but better than last week. But I think he's still a far cry away from where he finished last season. So until he regains that form, the Panthers aren't really going to be in any of these games, to be honest with you. So sorry, Lawrence, if you're watching this. The Panthers are going to be in for a rough season, a very rough season, even though I was high on them. It is on record. I was high on them, but Bryce Young has to play better. Eagles, Chiefs. It was a weird game, and it wasn't too much passing. I don't think Mahomes or Jalen Hurts threw for 200 yards. Hurts barely threw for 100. I think this was a defensive battle. It's very evident that Kansas City needs a receivers. Like without Worthy and Rice, they're ass. Like the second week in a row where Mahomes is the leading rusher. Like this is not a winning formula. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if it's Pacheco. Obviously, the offensive line is just as bad as it was last year, so that's also a problem. So this is a combination of Mahomes running for his life and maybe even some design runs going in there. I don't know, but they got to fix this. It's not the Chiefs that we know and love/hate. They are, the past couple of years they've been a running machine, and that is not their identity. At least going into these past 2 games. I'm not worried about the Eagles. It's probably closer than it needs to be. Their secondary is suspect, so when you see, Thornton, I think he was the one that caught that last touchdown. When you see him wide open, Mahomes missed him the first time, but then hit him another time. When you see that, that's just all you need to know about the Eagles secondary. Very suspect. If the Chiefs had better receivers, they probably could have exploited the Eagles way more. But that is not the case, is it? Honestly, last up, Falcons, Vikings. JJ McCarthy sprained his ankle. Already said that. So somehow he got hurt in this game. I don't think he was taken out, but he hasn't played well. You honestly can say JJ's only played well for 1 quarter, and that was against the Bears. And that was when the Bears, for whatever reason, stopped doing what was working against them. So he looked terrible, even against the Falcons defense that I don't think is all that good. They have a pretty good secondary with Bates and AJ Terrell, but other than that, I don't think they really have pass rush or like defensive run stoppers. Like I don't think it's that good of a defense. It's very, very sound, but we're not talking a top 10 defense at all. So very concerning for the Vikings, especially with Kevin O'Connell, who is the quote unquote QB guru, the QB whisperer. Not really working his magic, in my opinion, on JJ McCarthy. So we'll see how he kind of uses Carson Wentz. I think you will see more of the same. Carson Wentz, ever since his injury, he has not looked the same, and he's been kind of a bad quarterback. That's why he's been kind of been a roamer, a journeyman at this point. So the Vikings' future is not looking too good, at least the immediate future. Hopefully, JJ comes back and he can have some confidence after watching Carson Wentz attempt to run the offense, and maybe he can learn a thing or two from watching on the sidelines a little bit longer. So we'll see about that. But that's all of the week 2 games. Like I said, there's 2 going on right now, so we will cover those probably on Wednesday's episode. But that's all I have for today. Nothing else really that I got on my mind. Nothing else. I mean, if you want to talk about the Bengals a little bit more, people calling Joe injury prone, all the BS. Don't listen to him. Joe's had a bunch of freak accidents, freak injuries that don't usually happen to quarterbacks. Offensive line is bad, yes, I will admit that, but I don't think you can pin his injury history on him. I think it's you want to talk injury prone, you got to talk about guys like Joel Embiid, Paul George, Kawhi, NFL players. Talk about T. Higgins' hamstrings or Jay Jetta's hamstrings or C-Mac. Like those are injury prone guys. Like that's not Joe. Joe has freaking accidents. Like breaks his wrist. Like what? Like how's that happen? Tore ligaments in his wrist. Like what? Appendicitis. Like that happened during the offseason. Like that's random. Now with the turf toe, that's random. The ACL thing, his rookie season, like that was random. I don't think it's injury prone, but they do have to do a better job of protecting, and they will. The offensive line can be better, but they gotta give them time to gel because there's what two new guards and one is filling in as a backup, so you gotta give them time to gel. It's not like a seasoned offensive line that's been together for a couple of years. You gotta give them time. As far as backup quarterbacks go, the Bengals do need one. Reports are coming out that they are targeting Malik Willis, which I actually think is a very good idea. I don't think he's going to take over for Jake Browning, but if for whatever reason Jake starts playing poorly, which I do not foresee, but if he just starts playing like Kirk Cousins did during that bad stretch last season, where he had, 1 touchdown and 9 picks, it's good to have a competent quarterback that can probably take over and give Jake a mental reset, or if Jake gets hurt himself, which is very possible as well. So Malik Willis could be that. We'll see who they choose to go with. I personally want Kirk Cousins. I think if you can get the Falcons to take on most of that money, maybe give them a higher draft pick as compensation, maybe that's something you try. You definitely need a guy with experience, though. You can't just pick up another younger prospect and expect them to back up Jake Browning. I don't think that's a good idea. So those are 2 names I have in mind. Now I've seen this coming around today that I think it was Rich Eisman said that Jake Browning is better than a third of the starting quarterbacks. I think he might be right. I think he's playing better than Aaron Rodgers, Cam Ward, Drake May, Tua, yeah, Gino, yeah. Bo Nix, at least right now, yeah. Bryce Young, yeah. Can't say Caleb just yet. At least in the AFC, he's definitely playing probably on par Mac Jones, on par Sam Darnold. Better than Russ, better than Spencer for sure, better than Carson, yeah. So yeah, a third is probably very accurate actually. So, in Jake Browning, we trust. Other than that, guys, we'll head on out. A little bit longer than I was anticipating, but I'm sure you guys will love it. This is the Sideline Brief Podcast, guys. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening on Spotify, YouTube, all that good stuff. And I will see you on Wednesday. Peace.